Hey everybody, welcome back to Gun Tote Minnesota. My name is Andrew, and what you have here before you today is a CVA Cascade Long Range Hunter. This one happens to be chambered in 7 PRC. Pretty happy with the performance I've seen so far with these 180 grainers at 630 yards. They're doing just fine on steel. I've had in mind one gun that could do deer, elk, and moose. Pretty much anything in North America. Bear as well. And this rifle and this cartridge is certainly capable of it. Let me go ahead and throw a few rounds down here at 630 on some steel, and you can see it schwacks that thing with authority. There you have it. At 630 yards, 3 hits in a row. My rings are staying put, which is good. That's something I needed to check. I've got some QD rings, and there's a potential that they could come loose. These haven't for me, but that aside, I'm really liking this rifle. One thing you'll notice is I do flinch a little bit when I shoot this gun, and part of that is just the muzzle device. That spark arrestor kind of thing on the end of the barrel there, it's effective. It is digging a trench. I think you can see it in the video. Holy crap. Yeah, you can. This thing is digging a trench up there, and it just really slaps. The gun slaps. It hits that target hard, and it's consistent. I need to work on my fundamentals a little bit there with a hunting style rifle that is lighter weight. That's just true. But I'm getting so much grass, like I'm covered. I'm absolutely covered in dirt and grass. It's coming back. I had to clean out my objective bell after the last few rounds because it does shoot some stuff back. So my plan is probably just to grab a suppressor. Anechoic makes a great suppressor. I've got a Liberty suppressor that I use a lot on my channel. I'm going to grab one of those and thread that up on this, and it's going to allow me to knock down a little bit of the initial report because it's loud. 7 PRC does have a good report to it. I don't know if you've ever shot one before, but it's snappy. And then on top of that, I just want to reduce the amount of localized concussion that I have in my area, whether I'm shooting in a deer stand or I'm shooting off of a bag in the desert or in the grass like I am today. I just think it's probably pretty important to mitigate that to some degree. And I just love putting cans on everything, especially hunting rifles. Why wouldn't you if you can? Why not knock down some of the report? And as long as that goes well, this is going to be an absolute butcher for moose and elk and everything in between. I'm really happy with this. I think this would be a great bear gun so far. It's got some real authority downrange. I don't know if you can tell. It's either 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch. I think it's a 3/4 inch piece of steel. So it really moves that thing around, and the sound of it is really great. Normally 223, you can't even tell a lot of times when you hit it. You hit it with a 6.5 and it kind of moves it a little bit. But that 7 PRC really has some knockdown power. And I'm going to tell you that this action and trigger is so smooth. It's really nice. It's actually a delight behind the gun because this crusher is soft enough. It absorbs all that recoil. I'm not worried about that. It's not abusive to me. I've gotten a little bit close to the eyepiece here a couple times, just not being careful enough off the bench, but shooting from the prone, using the cheek piece, getting this exactly where I need it to be. I'm very comfortable with this, and a huge part of that is the Telson optic has a great eye relief and a really comfortable reticle. It's trustworthy tracking. It's an excellent scope. And the other half is this rifle seems to be set up pretty well, and with that lighter trigger now that I've adjusted it, I'm seeing some good consistent impacts downrange, and I'm surprised for a hunting rifle with a thinner contour barrel just how consistent this can be even at extended distances. Now I do have my Toxin 3-18, as I previously mentioned, and I'm shooting it on 16 power actually. It's really clear. It's a great image. The reticle is awesome, and believe it or not, with this 7 PRC, I believe I'm still going to be able to stay in the glass with this lightweight gun from the prone position with the bipod. I think I can stay on it without jumping around too much, and there's going to be a lot of trace on a day like today, I believe. Should be able to catch it in the spotter. Throw a couple down here. I've got just 3, 2 in the mag, 1 in the action. And I'm going to hide my microphone because this thing is noisy. I don't know why it didn't hit me initially. I did some groups at 330 yards, and originally I thought, yeah, it's shooting right where it should be. No, this is better than expected. It is sub MOA, and a couple of the groups are almost half MOA. So here was my aiming point for the first group, 180 grainers. First one was here. Next 2 were up there, so that's kind of cool to see some closeness. But overall, that group is just a little under 2 inches, and just a little left. I probably needed to adjust my windage on that. I had the rail loosen up on me. Long story. Anyways, this is very similar to that group. Dispersion is very acceptable. It's about 2, right about 2 and maybe 2 1/4 inches at the most. Sub MOA one more time. And then I had an aiming point just off the paper. This was my very last group, and that is very acceptable. That's 1.5 inches. Obviously, when I put the groups together, they're all sub MOA at 330 yards. I'm really happy with that. So I'm not too far off my aiming point. Under the recoil with that muzzle device, I can still get some reasonable groups. And this is in the prone. This isn't off a bag or a tripod. So I do want to make it clear that this is a prone experience. After I've shot the rifle a lot, gotten comfortable with it, and I think I understand the rifle better than I did when I first got the rifle. And I needed a little practice, to be honest with you, to get my groups shrunken down. But it's doing well, and it seems like the barrel likes that. I think it's probably time to wrap up the video with a little bit of my experience, my thoughts, and I'll tell you if I recommend this for the average hunter out there. All right, here's what I did. I loaded up one of my hunting backpacks with most of the stuff that I carry when I go hunting, and I just wanted to test out, can I fit this rifle in there and cover the trigger guard and all that, keep it so it's barreled down for inclement weather and snow. I do have a strap or a cover that can go over this bag and the rifle, but most of the time I don't use it, especially in matches. So I can throw it in my hunting bag. It fits perfectly. It slides in and out really well because it's not bulky. The optic I have on it is actually quite narrow compared to some other optics and turret setups. So it's not heavy. I'll tell you that. It's a very lightweight rifle. Like this compared to my PRS gun feels like nothing. It feels like I don't have a gun in it yet. Usually that loadout is heavy, but with this Eberle stock, it carries really well, and normally it's all tightened up and cinched. But with this rifle, I feel like I can move around and do quite a bit with it and stay relatively agile. When you're working through brush like that, you're on a hunt, you're going uphill, you just don't want a super heavy rifle. But this rifle seems to give me the capability to be pretty light. It has that extended cheek piece there to be pretty comfortable. It does have kind of the long range features, and it's matched with a lot of cartridges that can go really far and hit really, really hard. So I'm happy to see that I can throw this in a backpack, I can hunt with this, and in my experience, 7PRC or loads like that can do everything in North America. Everything, which is pretty darn cool. Taking it out of the bag, as long as it's unclipped, is not difficult. It's a fairly wieldy or easy to wield rifle. It's not hard for me to kind of actually shoulder even one-handed. But in and out of the bag, really not bad at all. Not much for a muzzle diameter, and the stock doesn't hang me up. If anything, the sling would. I went with a Butler Creek sling, by the way. Nice padded one with grips on the inside, just kind of a classic hunting sling with a couple ammo holders built into it. Never really use those. If anything, I have a couple in my pocket, maybe a match saver on the side. But I like the combination of these two, and the colors fit really nice. All right, everybody, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's called the Long Range Hunter, and that's who I think is gonna get the most out of a setup like this. This rifle isn't trying to be a bench gun. I did throw a bipod on there, but I went with the Vanguard bipod. Vanguard knew that I was gonna be doing some more hunting-based content, and they threw out their Precision, or their EQ Precision bipod, carbon fiber bipod. It's a little bit tall, kind of a unique bipod, but it's got a Picatinny mount, and I used the Endeavor pick rail to mount it up to the Cascade Long Range Hunter. That's a good fit for me because it's lightweight. It does have a little extended height compared to my standard like PRS style bipods. And it's just easy for me to go on and off, and it doesn't seem to get in the way in the bag. Wraps up pretty tight, so I like this. I like it with this setup. It just seems to fit the footprint a little better than an Atlas or a MDT or a Skypod or something. So I like this setup, and I didn't come to this review with expectations of having this be a bench gun. I knew ahead of time, 7PRC has the potential. In the wrong kind of rifle, that thing can hurt you as much as it hurts whatever's downrange, but this has the Crusher limb saver butt plate, whatever you want to call it, rubber pad on the end, and it takes away a lot of that abuse that you would normally have. And 7PRC and 300PRC, they do hit hard. They're pretty noisy, which is why I'm going to go with a can on the end. But I'm looking at this as a hunting rifle. I just need 3 round groups to be under an inch, and this rifle could do it. My caveat to that was I did make some mistakes, and a couple of the mistakes I want to share with you so you don't make the mistakes that I made. First of all, when I was zeroing this initially, I did run a cleaning rag through, and it came out fairly clean when I ran it out. The next thing I did was to mount up a scope with some QD rings. I was kind of testing these QD rings to see if they could hold up to the recoil, and the answer is basically not. I'm eating my words here a little bit. These were some UTG QD rings. I've run them on big heavy rifles and precision rifles in the past, but this one just has enough vibration. It is able to unlatch it from time to time. And so I made a mistake there. I shouldn't have done that, and I will be switching over to a fixed pair of rings like any other normal person would. It's just the fact that I move optics around a lot. Kind of wanted to see if I could do it with this and cheat a little bit. You know what? Can't cheat. I should have gone with a solid pair of rings that are appropriate height, probably the same height as what I'm running here. The barrel gap isn't bad. Mirage off the barrel wasn't bad, even though it can get warm. The next mistake I made was after the first 20 rounds, the rail came loose. That's because I didn't Loctite it. So after 20 rounds, I noticed my groups went from about 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch groups. That's 3-shot groups, by the way. It went from 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch groups up to 2 inches. And I was like, whoa, I am pulling the trigger weird. Something's wrong with me. Maybe it was still a little bit true. I was developing a slight flinch, but it wasn't that. I finally realized the rail came loose. So I tightened it down and Loctited it with just a drop of Loctite Blue. After 60 rounds later, 3 boxes later, once again, I went back to the firing line because I noticed that I was hitting left significantly at 800 yards. And I couldn't figure out why it was because the wind was not going left. Something had changed, so I went back to the firing line, and initially I couldn't tell with the scope on. I took the scope off, and right away I could tell that my rail had loosened up and it would actually move forward and back a little bit, just enough to make that change. And then also the rings had loosened up on me again. I had just had the QD unlock on me a little bit. So then I fixed that. I tightened the rings down one more time, properly torqued them with a fat wrench. And then I shot 2 back-to-back 3-shot groups one more time, basically re-zeroing it a little bit. And yes, I was off dramatically left. Not bad for elevation, interestingly. Not bad for elevation, but very far left. And after tightening that down, those groups went back to about 3/4 inch groups. And actually, one of them was like 0.56, and the other one was a 3/4 inch group. So I'm seeing really good groups for 3-shot groups. When I would try to run 5-shot groups, I would have a couple rounds and load them up quick and get back at it. This thing does heat up a little bit, and they get a little stringy. At that point, I'm gonna say the maximum size group that I was seeing in the last 100 rounds, it's kind of a lot of ammo with this rifle. In 100 rounds, the maximum spread when everything was torqued down and set right was about 1.5 inches with 5-shot groups. But the 3-shot groups, 100%, yes, those were under an MOA. And so it's gonna survive the claim that they make about their rifles. I was very happy to see how tight this thing can shoot for 3-shot groups, whether that's at distance or at the 100-yard line. Obviously, Hornady provided some really great ammo. So guys, check out Hornady. The 7 PRC is an amazing load, and their factory ammo is no joke. It's incredibly consistent. My SDs, after running them through my chronograph, I have the Rangecraft, by the way, if you're wondering which one this is. So the most recent session that I chronoed, we're coming out with an ES of 15.1. That's the ES. SDs of 7. So it is changing a little bit there, here and there. It's under 10. And then my ES is 15.1. That is very surprising. Factory ammo, guys, I don't think I could hand load that better if I tried. So I'm not gonna try, because this rifle obviously shoots well for the 3-shot groups with a factory Hornady 7mm PRC ammo. It's 180 grain ELD, and I've not taken it past 1,000 yet. I'm probably not going to in this platform, but it might be a fun thing to try in the future. My velocity, this is really important, with this length barrel, my velocity average in, was about 80 degrees today, high humidity, was 2,871. Okay, so 2,871, I don't know if that's above or below what you guys were expecting, but that's great. I'm really happy with that. Pretty much anything above 2,850 is cooking, in my opinion, especially when I'm running a 180 grain projectile. I can shoot that really far. It hits with some authority. Groups downrange look good. One thing I have to comment on is I was not able to get a lot of hunting ammo yet for this video. The next video, I'm going to be doing more tests with the ELDX line, some of the Federal line, a couple other brands that have not released information yet. I'm going to go with those and see what I can do with this contour and this barrel at 100 yards, and then maybe 400, 500, 600 yards. I'll mess around there a little bit. But those chronograph numbers, awesome. I'm really happy with that. The ergonomics of the rifle, let's talk about that for a second. So it's particularly important to me to have a cheek riser on any rifle. It's just the way that the ergonomics run. When you have a lower stock and you have a shoulder that drops down, I can shoot this standing very, very comfortably. I can shoot it off the tripod very comfortably. And this just allows it to be a little bit more in line for my cheek with the bolt. I like that a lot. It's more comfortable, it's more natural for a lot of people, especially those that's coming from the precision rifle background. That's just what we like most of the time, is a very straight back, linear bolt, cheek rest, and usually shoulder pad. I can live with a little bit of a drop in the shoulder pad. So I think the pistol grip, the cheek piece, and the shoulder are all very natural. I didn't find it to be awkward in a prone position, a bench position, or off the tripod. And that's pretty much everything I'm gonna do. I might take a standing shot, but that'll be very similar to the tripod, except for I'll be canted a little bit more in my body rather than squared up to the target, the way that you do with the tripod. So I'm really happy with the pistol grip. I'm happy with the cheek piece. It's sturdy, it's strong. There's no wiggle in this at all. It's easy to run, there's no tool. I wish some other chassis companies would come up with this, or at least figure it out, that at this price point, no tools necessary. And it's still sturdy, it has 2 pillars, and I don't find any flex in this this stock. I can't actually remember if I mentioned this, but one really cool thing about this stock is it has a length of pull spacer already installed from the factory. And all you have to do, if you want to cut that out, is ride your knife on the camo because it's got this awesome veil over it. I love this camo pattern, by the way. I cut that with a razor blade of some sort very carefully, and then you back out 2 screws that are in the crusher butt pad. You can take out that plate and then reinstall this back where it was. For me, obviously, I'm 6'5", guys, so I don't need to take that out. I love that it is installed from the factory. That's the way I would prefer it. But for a lot of you, you're going to be okay with a shorter length of pull. So you're fine with this too. If it looks like it's a little long for you, don't worry about it. You can take out a considerable amount. That's probably an inch. Yeah, it looks like it. A full inch spacer. And that's one more thing you didn't have to pay for it. They threw it in, included in the price. And I can think of a lot of companies that just don't do stuff like that. This stock is not going to be the same as, let's say, like an aluminum stock or chassis, but there's really not a lot of flex here, especially when I'm loading my bipod. That's where I notice it with those cheap plastic or cheap rubber stocks. That's not what you're looking at here. This is a high quality piece of, I don't know, what is it? Rubber fiberglass mix? I'm not exactly sure. Whatever it is, it's more rigid, and it's what I needed to see for something like this. I can load my bipod. I can squeeze it with this clamp. If you didn't catch that, this is a clamp. I can squeeze it without getting shifts or change in my point of impact. It's not changing barrel harmonics, and it's not giving me a bunch of bite up here on the barrel. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. I can still function my magazine in and out when it's in the clamp. So it just tells me that the body of this chassis is very firm and it's not shifting around on me internally. I did check my torque again underneath after shooting this a bunch, and it's fine. The only issue I had was with the rail, and that was probably mostly a me thing and not being super smart or wise about it. Trigger's perfect. I don't have much to say other than it can go fairly light. It's excellent for hunting, probably perfect. Probably perfect for a rifle like this. I don't think I want a hair trigger and something that provides as much concussion and recoil in a rifle like this. I don't think I want a hair trigger. The rifle is just a little too light for that. So right around that 2 to 3 pound range is what I would normally set a hunting rifle at. So we're right there. It is adjustable. You can take it out of the stock and adjust it, tinker with it more, but mine was so good I have left it, which is rare for me if you've watched my channel. I usually mess with everything. The fluting here probably does help it cool off a little bit, and it probably has some light saving or weight saving attributes to it. I don't have a lot to say other than accuracy is good. It does warm up after 5 rounds, and this thing barks. I'm going to take that off and put a can on it because why not? It should suppress everything anyways. It's awesome. The sling that I put on was a Butler Creek, if I didn't mention that already. It's just nice, comfortable rubber pad, and it has a couple of ammo retention loops in it. I don't really use stuff like that. It'll be in my pocket more than likely, or I'll buy a second magazine. It does come with 1 magazine. It's as much as I need. The 20 MOA allowed me to get my full range of travel out of this optic, and I can shoot this if I want to really, really far, especially with this cartridge. Not worried about that. Thank you to Vanguard. They sent out their EQ Precision Bipod. This is just one that fits a little bit more for hunting for me, rather than a Skypod or an Atlas, Super Cal. A heavy bipod just doesn't work for me on this system. I wanted something to stay lightweight and a little bit more easy to wield. This goes on and off well, and I used their Endeavor pick rail as a swivel stud adapter. One thing that's great about this stock is that it comes with 2 swivel studs from the factory. You don't have to add anything there. You'll have a swivel stud for your actual swivel stud, and then a bipod loop, so you can throw that through. And they don't twist, they don't move, they're set up right, the depth is right. Everything about this has been well thought through, and so that's probably about as much as I'm gonna say about this in the first video. This is not my last video on the rifle, guys. I definitely am gonna do more with this because I'm having a great time, and quite frankly, I gotta kill something with it. Now that I've seen it's very, very capable, the trigger is good, the cartridge is good, and now that I've Loctited this thing where it ought to be, I'm ready to throw on a solid pair of rings and actually take this out pretty far. So another update video coming pretty soon. If you have any questions about this, please go ahead and comment down in the comment section about it. I'll try to answer those in the next week or 2. Otherwise, be expecting another video update yet this summer and for sure this fall.